Here on The Colour of Country Life, good to catch up again with Ali Cupper, the member for Mildura. How are you going, Ali?
Good, thanks, Ricky.
Now, how do you rate the state budget handed down on Tuesday?
Yeah, we're pretty happy, to be completely honest. There was some good stuff in there. You know, one of the things that we know will save lives is a drug and alcohol residential rehab and detox centre for Mildura, which will service all of the Mallee. That's really exciting. You know, if you've got a loved one, as many families have, who has experienced drug and alcohol addiction, you'll know how important services close to home are. And previously we've been so isolated, you know, being in the top northwest corner of the state. It's a long drive to Bendigo. It's an expensive flight to Melbourne. So having that now that will be delivered really soon for local families is awesome.
Yeah, I noticed you've talked about that before, I think, and it is really difficult, isn't it? I guess for reintegration into everyday life if you've had to go somewhere else for your rehab rather than if you're doing that closer to home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that, I worked in child protection. You know, we know that there are mums who, you know, if they can't see their children for those 2 hours of access they have per week, they're not going to Melbourne. They're not going to Melbourne for 2 weeks, let alone the 12 months it might take for them to be able to recover from their addiction. And so they get trapped in cycles. Those cycles can become intergenerational, and people are just stuck on that wheel. You know, this is a real circuit breaker for so many families, so that people can realise their potential, lives will be saved, and our community will be so much better off for it.
And is that funding that's been announced, or have we got a partner the government's found in terms of delivering that?
Well, that's the next step. So that we've got the money, so $36 million for a 30-bed facility. And the next step is for the department to set up, we assume, like a project group, steering group, all that sort of stuff, to then sort of go through the tin tacks. You know, who's going to run it? Is it going to be a partnership? What do the local agencies want to do? We certainly have two local agencies who have been driving this to date, who would be well placed, I think, to be considered for that and would put their hands up. Those are Sunraysia Community Health and also Mildura. But let's see. I mean, it's a departmental process at this point. But the key thing for us is that we know we're going to get the service.
Yep. Now, health was a big spending item in the budget, but generally for your electorate of Mildura, what are some other key spending initiatives that have been announced by the Andrews Labor government?
Yeah, so Outback Vic. So, you know, the tourism vision that I have for the beautiful Mallee has been to really try and focus and showcase on the uniqueness of the Mallee in Victoria. There is no other part of Victoria that looks and feels like the Mallee. You know, this is the true Victorian outback, and we need more government investment in that, you know. And so to see the government invest $3 million into what is going to be a beautiful Outback Vic project. It's been spearheaded by Mildura Regional Development. It's called Trail of Lights. If you're interested, Google Light State and Uluru, and you'll see a beautiful example of that sort of feature. So it's a artistic sort of light installation, and absolutely spectacular. Now that's going to be at Lake Coleraine, which is going to be a huge tourism boom for the Mildura. And a beautiful asset for Outback Victoria more generally. So that's cool. The other thing that I'm very excited about is $150,000 for a business case for a Titty Hawk museum. So Mildura was the Top Gun of the 1940s. We trained all the best fighter pilots for the Pacific Theatre of World War II. We want to elevate that story, and with a proper museum, and the business case is the first step.
Well, that's well timed with Top Gun coming out in the cinemas later this month, the sequel as well.
And also, finally, another great thing for Outback Vic is Wycheproof. Wycheproof Wetlands has got some funding. We're still waiting to find out exactly how much, but we understand it's in the hundreds of thousands. So that'll be great. We did pretty well. And Mildura Specialist School, $14 million.
Yeah, that's good news for them as well. Ali, we talked previously. You said it's going to be a long march about a hospital for Mildura. The Liberal Party is committed in opposition. They'll spend, I think, $750 million building a new hospital in Mildura. Nothing in the budget about that, but we understand the government's got $2 billion up its sleeve to make announcements before the state election.
Yeah, there's that. That's true. And one of the key things for us with the hospital was the master plan wasn't completed. So all is not lost. We want that master plan to be finished. That will inform what we need. We need to keep this in context. We've only been talking about a new hospital for like 18 months. It's a very new conversation, but we are well positioned. So the key thing for us, for me, the main game, if we can't get the money locked in before November, to get that election commitment from the Labor government. If we've got that, then that means both sides are locked in. It doesn't matter who wins the election in November. We're going to get our new hospital. So we are well positioned, and that's it. I mean, we'd be better positioned if we just got the money in the budget. I get it, but certainly, there is no reason for us to feel like we've somehow failed. We haven't. We are well positioned.
Yeah, those sorts of announcements generally, bipartisanship's the way to go. It doesn't matter who wins the election; then it's going to happen no matter what.
That's it. That's right. And that's what being independent is about. You have the conversations with both sides. I mean, the key thing here is that we wouldn't even be talking about a new hospital had we not had the hospital brought back into public hands, which was a massive win that had been fought for years and years and years. Back in 2019, because that's what enabled a management team to come in who looked at our hospital purely through a public health lens, not through a profit lens. They then identified that it wasn't fit for purpose, and then we had the conversation about the new hospital. So look, the context is that we have really moved mountains for healthcare in this term, and the future is bright.
I wanted to catch up with you too about last time we talked about the Commonwealth Games and Mildura missed out on being a host city. You said Martin McCuller had said to you that something else might be coming in the pipeline. Is that the Kings of Leon concert, or is there more of that to come?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, Martin, sort of has made it clear that the two things weren't connected. But look, I'm hoping that we still get something out of the Commonwealth Games. I want to keep that door open with the government because, there may be preliminary matches or practice competitions or whatever it might be. So definitely want to keep that door open. But to have Kings of Leon, which is one of the hottest rock acts in the world, coming to Outback Victoria, coming to Mildura, is going to be brilliant, and we're very grateful that we've been considered. Again, because we've talked about how lucky we are, but I think Kings of Leon are pretty bloody lucky as well because they get to come and see this beautiful part of the state and have a great time.
And what's the date on that? I haven't picked up on the details. In October, is it?
Oh, yeah, I think so, Ricky. Let me think. I think
it's a long way. You've got a lot of ground to cover before then.
I think it's the 29th of October, but I'm actually at Birchip standing in a car park at the moment, so I don't have the dates in.
Not a problem. We'll be promoting it on Flow, don't you worry about that. And good to catch up with you again, Ali, and we'll talk to you again soon.
No worries. Thanks, Ricky.